think we'll kick off. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Grace Ogden. I'm the Business and Marketing Manager for PPMA. I'm just running through a few housekeeping bits before we kick off. The session's being recorded, but only the speakers will be shown. Please stay on mute. So cameras are welcome. And you can pose questions in the chat at any time or wait until the end, and we'll address as many as we can if time allows. Today's spotlight session is on Buckinghamshire Council's Horizons programme, an award-nominated inclusion and diversity initiative. And today, Kimberly Ashmead will be sharing how Horizons creates opportunities for residents facing employment barriers through tailored support, training and paid work placements. So over to you, Kimberly.
Thank you very much. So yeah, hello. So my name's Kimberly Ashmead, and I'm the Talent and Careers Consultant at Buckinghamshire Council. As Grace has said, I've been invited to speak to you today about our Horizons programme, which was shortlisted in the 2025 PPMA Awards under the category of Best Inclusion and Diversity Initiative. So I thought I'd first cover a little bit about who we are as a council, to give some context to why we came up with the idea for the programme. So Buckinghamshire Council's values are proud to serve our communities, ambitious in the way that we work, collaborative in achieving outcomes, and trusted by customers and colleagues. Buckinghamshire Council is relatively new, with us becoming a unitary council in 2020. And prior to this, Buckinghamshire was served by the county council and district councils, but we now operate as one council, providing both district level and county level services. Our most recent census showed that we currently serve over 560,000 residents. Over a third of our residents are of pension age, with this number expected to continue to rise, so we're considered to have an ageing population. And Buckinghamshire Council employs well over 4,000 members of staff corporately, with that figure jumping to over 10,000 if you include our maintained schools. So I'm not sure how that compares with other local authorities, but we are considered to be one of the largest employers in Buckinghamshire. So now that I've shared a little bit about the council, I thought I'd properly introduce myself and the team that support the Horizons programme. And I do use the word team lightly, as there are actually only 2 of us that support the programme day to day. However, we are really well supported by our amazing wider HR service, who do get involved at all levels of the programme as well, to make sure that everything gets done as it should do. So I'm Kimberly Ashmead. I'm the Talent and Careers Consultant, as I said, and I am the programme lead. And I am supported by my amazing sidekick, Claire Ryan, who is the Talent and Careers Coordinator at Buckinghamshire Council. And I'm not sure if she's managed to join the call today, but I think she was going to try. So shout out to Claire if you are on the call. So onto a bit of an overview of the programme then. So the programme was launched in 2024, and it was introduced to offer new opportunities to Buckinghamshire residents in particular, with barriers to meaningful employment, and to also diversify our approach to recruitment. Placements are intended to build confidence and transferable skills through real work experience for the employees, whilst also reviewing some of our own practices around diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Placements are paid, which we felt was a unique selling point compared to many other work placements out there, and roles are part-time to help employees ease back into the work environment, as we felt one barrier that came up quite a lot was that people couldn't find part-time work to help to get them back into work. And in terms of funding, the first 2 years of Horizons have actually been funded by the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, which is a government initiative that provides local investment to support prosperity, reduce regional inequalities and help communities thrive. And the Horizons programme specifically comes under the people and skills strand of the funding. This funding is unfortunately due to end in March 2026, but we are currently scoping out alternative funding to hopefully be able to continue the programme after March next year. So in terms of a timeline for how the programme was created, we first started to explore the idea of Horizons following a particularly successful experience supporting the DWP's National Kickstart programme, in which we saw 45 people join us for placements, a third of whom stayed on in permanent roles at the council following their 6 months. A lot of them are still with us now, and a further third of whom went on to secure employment outside of the council. Around a similar time to Kickstart ending, we were also beginning our work on our Opportunity Bucks programme, which seeks to improve opportunities for residents living in 10 different wards in Buckinghamshire, which were identified as facing high levels of economic deprivation. Additionally, to supporting the Kickstart initiative and Opportunity Bucks, we were also beginning to explore supporting candidates with specific barriers to employment through other projects. So we worked with Spring Hill Prison, which is a local prison to us, to offer positions under their release on temporary licence programme. And we were also working with one school in particular to establish a frequent arrangement for supported internships. And using our model of support from the Kickstart programme, learning from the other projects and understanding from the Opportunity Bucks data, we built what is now known as the Horizons programme at the council. We also recognised that to reach our target audience, our best method of promoting the programme was to work with a select list of identified referring partners. So we started that work before the programme kind of was advertised more widely. And we identified these partners using the data from the Opportunity Bucks project. So talking of target audiences, so the referring partners that we work with on the programme support customers in some of the following key groups who we are aiming to support. So those with disability or long-term health conditions, under 25s and over 50s, those who are long-term unemployed or have had a break in employment, those with lower levels of spoken English, those with few or no formal qualifications, and those with caring responsibility, so parents and carers mainly. We also felt this programme was well positioned to help some of the groups we have a corporate responsibility for, or individuals who face particular challenges due to misconceptions, and this includes ex-offenders, care leavers and those that are care experienced, and refugees. So working with the referring partners, we identified that barriers particularly came at the following stages throughout the kind of recruitment and employment process. So expectations of candidates or inaccessible job descriptions was one barrier. So whether it was the language used or simply unrealistic expectations for candidates, many partners said that their customers had faced barriers before even submitting an application, as many employers wanted too much information from them or weren't willing to offer training to get them up to the level they expected. Competitive job markets was another one. So with work becoming increasingly difficult to find, many candidates have found themselves applying for entry-level jobs, but competing with at times hundreds of other applicants, many of whom are highly qualified, meaning they're finding it impossible to compete in a standard job market. Daunting and unclear application and interview processes mean that many candidates are reporting high levels of anxiety around the process. And processes are often unclear in what's expected from them and can involve multiple stages in many cases. Many of our referring partners work with customers who have been out of work for a long time or have never worked at all, meaning they don't know what is expected of them in the workplace. And they can often display behaviours that cause employers to just write them off, when actually it's just a case of them not being used to the professional environment and they just need a bit of a chance to learn what is expected from them. Poor inductions and support from employers. So some candidates have successfully made it through the recruitment process only to be expected to hit the ground running, which is a phrase that I absolutely hate, or provided with very little training. And this then means they feel pressure to leave or often fail probation due to lack of support. And finally, another barrier that was identified was poor understanding of individual support needs. So some candidates require more adjustments to accommodate for things like language barriers or disability, and many employers aren't actually as equipped for this as they may think they are, and often aren't able to properly support individuals. And in many cases, these individuals are actually more than capable of doing the role. They just need that additional support and some adjustments in the workplace. So based on these barriers, we started to think about where we could provide support in the programme, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about a little about now. So starting at the beginning of the process, the pre-employment support. So this is the stage where most employers won't usually have even met the candidates or know much about them other than what is on a piece of paper. And we wanted to try and change that to allow the candidates to really sell themselves. So before we even considered launching the programme, we spent almost a year developing what we wanted the Horizons programme to look like. And this involved working closely with a number of key partners, as I've mentioned before, to identify exactly what their customers would need and what they expected from a programme of this nature. Once we'd spent some time understanding what support we would need to put in place, we began to promote the programme internally to our managers. Managers had to submit an expression of interest, which included details of how they would adapt their jobs to suit the programme, what training would be provided as part of the job, and evidence that they had considered what additional support might need to be put in place. With specific jobs being identified, we then went out to advert. So part of our promotion of the Horizons programme involved going out into the community to speak to customers' environments that they were already familiar with. This reduced the fear of the unknown for candidates and meant that they could ask questions about the programme and jobs before they decided whether or not the programme was suitable for them. As well as going out into the community, we also ran some in-house application support. We wanted candidates to be clear on what was expected from them in their applications and equip them with as many tools and resources as possible to help them succeed in finding employment. And we didn't even mind if this meant that they didn't then apply for roles with us, but we just felt that that initial stage meant we could help more people in the programme, even those that didn't get through into jobs with us. To reduce some of the nervousness around interviews, we ran a Meet the Manager Day, where candidates could come along to meet the hiring managers before their interviews. So not only could they talk to managers to ensure the job was the right fit for them, they could also start to build a bit of a rapport with them, which would help them feel more at ease on the day of the interview. And after all, a relaxed candidate is a candidate who performs to the best of their ability. So we wanted to try and reduce nervousness as much as possible. Finally, we wanted to recognise how much time it takes to write a good application. Many of the candidates coming onto the programme had already been applying for tens, if not hundreds of jobs. So to allow candidates to have the highest chance of success without having to submit multiple applications, we asked them to only write one application to the programme as a whole. And using this application along with their CV and conversations from the community drop-ins, etc., we would then match them with up to 3 roles to interview for to give them as much chance as possible at being successful into getting onto the programme. The next element of the programme that we focused on was the induction. So all new starters at the council get a new joiner guide and thorough induction from their managers. But we wanted to enhance this further by providing Horizons employees with a programme-specific handbook that walks them through some of the more unspoken rules of the workplace. And there's a bit of a screenshot there of one of the pages that is in that handbook. But also we included details on things like how to handle challenges in the workplace, who to go to for support with different things, and even a handy glossary of frequently used council acronyms, because as much as we like to avoid them, there are a lot of acronyms and it takes a lot of time to get used to what each of them means. For our most recent cohort, we have invited referring partners to drop by the workplace, with the employee's permission, of course, to check in on how they're getting on. If required, they can raise any concerns about the induction on behalf of the employee or make additional suggestions on how we can specifically support individuals in their placements. This was added following feedback from partners, employees and managers, and that feedback is really important to us and how we evolve the programme as well and make it as good as it can be. Managers are provided with briefings and training throughout the programme to ensure that they're clear on our expectations and that they are properly supporting the employees. We feel it's important that employees know that they have options for people to turn to as well. So we book in one-to-one meetings with them during their first month to talk through what they feel they may need support with and to let them know how to contact us if they need further support from someone outside of their direct team. Our usual induction process doesn't provide specific training for our intranet and self-serve systems. That's a mouthful. They aren't complicated to learn to most of us, but they can be quite daunting to someone who hasn't seen anything like them before, as they are huge knowledge hubs. So therefore we offer some training and walkthrough sessions with all Horizons new starters. And we also want employees on the programme to feel like a community. So we try to run an all cohort induction event within 1 month of the first person joining the cohort. So for our current cohort, we actually have their induction event coming up in a couple of weeks, which should be really exciting. So that's a really nice picture of our first 2 cohorts. They're at one of their events that we're hoping to run similarly coming up. So following the slightly more intense support across the induction period, then measures are also put in place throughout the 6-month placement and often beyond as well. So some of the measures we've put in place to improve the chances of a successful placement include tailored workshops and webinars. So we have a general idea for which topics we are going to cover across the 6 months so we can plan. However, we also use knowledge gathered from one-to-ones and feedback from employees to inform us about any additional topics that are a theme amongst the cohort, and we try to include these topics as well. Most training is delivered in-house by the Horizons team or by subject matter experts across the organisation, but we do on occasion bring in external trainers where we feel it's more appropriate. Networking events. So with placements being fairly short, we want employees to make as many lasting connections as possible. And it's also great for them to network as a cohort as early as possible, as we want them to be each other's support network for further resilience. So we really do push networking throughout the programme. We offer monthly drop-in sessions, which we refer to as Horizons Cafes, where they can bring along tea or coffee and have a bit of a chat. So we usually theme these sessions around certain topics, but we also leave time for employees to lead the discussion about topics that are pressing to them. Often this tends to be about CV or application support for follow-on opportunities after the programme, or advice on how to get shadowing opportunities, but it really is open to whatever they want to discuss. But sometimes a drop-in session isn't enough. So we book in the introductory one-to-one and an end of placement one-to-one by default, but we make it clear from the first day that employees can book more one-to-ones with us if they have something particular they need help with, or if they just prefer some direct coaching from us rather than a group setting. As is the theme with much of our on-programme support, we've designed the programme to offer employees as much varied support and resilience as possible. So buddies are another resource that employees can rely on, other than their manager or the Horizons team. So buddies can often feel less formal and a bit less scary, and therefore less intimidating. So we currently have a list of volunteer buddies from our alumni cohorts, which is really, really nice actually. So they've enjoyed the programme so much, they want to continue supporting it moving forward. As well as our early careers networks and disability and wellness networks. So they're there to support them. And a large part of this programme is the training for managers, as I think I've mentioned previously. So alongside our comprehensive management essentials training that all people managers at Bucks Council must complete, we offer additional training for those supporting a Horizons employee. So this comes in the form of briefings to set clear expectations, one-to-one support and advice throughout the placement if it's required, and complementary training sessions. So for example, we recently ran a session on creating an inclusive working environment for all, ran by somebody who has a lot of experience in supporting neurodiversity at work. So that was a really well-received workshop. So for us, success isn't just about the employees having a good placement. We want to see them move into longer term opportunities where they can thrive, whether this is at Bucks Council or somewhere else. As such, we offer comprehensive employability support as part of the programme to prepare them for their next steps. So from around 3 months into the placement, we run CV and application workshops. We often tailor sessions to certain jobs if employees let us know ahead of time what they're interested in applying for. As well as workshops, employees can book in with me or Claire for mock interviews ahead of real interviews. As many of you know, interviews are a bit of a practice makes perfect type of activity. So these mock interviews are essential for those who are less confident and need that building up a bit. We've actually agreed a 12-month guaranteed interview scheme for any programme alumni, meaning that if they meet the essential criteria for a role, they will be guaranteed an interview with a hiring manager at the council for 12 months following their placement end date. We support employees to arrange shadowing days, especially with teams that they are interested in joining. So this helps them to better understand what's involved in that service area, but also exposes them to hiring managers who they can then leave a lasting positive impression with. And hopefully towards the end of the placements, they can get an interview with that team if there's a job that comes up, and the manager will remember them from their shadowing experience. We plan days out, which I've called a field trip there on that slide, to careers fairs as a whole cohort. We've even created a guide to careers fairs to help them make the most of their experience, so they're not just standing there looking a bit lost. For this cohort, we're also hoping to spend a day with another employer, which is something new that we haven't done yet, to help the programme participants understand a bit how different employers operate. And even after employees leave the programme, the team continue to make themselves available for advice and light touch support where there is requirements for this. So this could include answering any questions they have about jobs they've seen. It could be advising on role suitability, and it could be revising CVs and application forms where we have capacity as well. So after talking through what we've implemented as part of the programme, I do feel it's important that we share some evidence to back up why we feel that in its so far short lifespan, the programme has had an excellent start. So since 2024, we've received 263 applications to the programme across 3 cohorts. We've hired 79 people into roles on the programme, 23 of whom are starting in our third cohort and most recent cohort. We've supported 21 individuals from cohort 1 and 2 into longer-term opportunities. So this obviously doesn't include our current cohort who have just started. So I'm really hoping that if we were to check back in again in about 6 months, this number will have significantly increased, and we'll see lots more people securing long-term roles. A lot of them are with us at the council as well. So the majority of those 21 roles are actually still at the council, which is great. 93% of Horizons participants in cohorts 1 and 2 reported improved employability as a result of being on the programme, which I think is a really great number. And also participants from the first 2 cohorts scored their satisfaction of the programme as an average of 9.1 out of 10, which we are really pleased with, to be honest. It's difficult to get a perfect score, so 9.1 is great in my eyes. So just to finish up the session then, I actually have 2 lovely case studies to share with you from a couple of our cohort 2 alumni. So first up is Alina. So Alina was referred to us to the programme through the Homes for Ukraine route, following a period of struggling to find work in the UK. Despite having over 10 years of work experience in Ukraine and numerous qualifications from her home country, Alina found that employers didn't seem to want to give her the chance to show her transferable skills here in the UK, simply because the qualifications didn't translate directly, and she had a mild language barrier. The Horizons programme offered Alina a chance to get her foot in the door, and she particularly liked that her role offered an opportunity to have an impact on the local community. Since joining the programme, Alina has done really, really well. She was given an expression of gratitude from her mentor and also won the Living Our Values Award at the Horizons celebration event, which we run for each cohort, which was a well-deserved award after all the hard work she's put in over her placement. Within the final month of her placement, Alina applied for a fixed-term role in her team and was successful in securing the 2-year full-time opportunity, which was really, really great. And she's now been working as a business support administrator for the Youth Offending Service at Bucks Council since early March 2025. And I will just add there, Alina is one of our alumni who is getting really involved with our current cohort. She's been volunteering to come along to events to talk to them. She's volunteered to be a buddy. She's doing absolutely amazingly and is a great kind of champion of the programme. And then next up we have Cameron. So Cameron was referred to us via the Shaw Trust, which is an organisation whose primary focus is supporting people with barriers to meaningful and long-term employment. Despite having a degree in urban design, planning and development, Cameron found that he was struggling to find paid long-term employment due to some personal barriers. The Horizons programme suited Cameron well, as it helped him to get paid experience in an area linked to his qualifications, whilst also offering an opportunity to build his professional and communication skills, as his confidence was one of the things that was kind of holding him back a little bit. Since joining the programme, Cameron has received high levels of praise from his team and is engaged incredibly well in the wider support opportunities offered to him. He's supported at the Bucks Skill Show, which is where this picture was taken, and that's just a great local kind of careers event that we put on for local schools. He's attended a Horizons volunteering day, which was out of his comfort zone, and was highly commended for the Team Spirit Award at our Horizons celebration event as well. Cameron actively applied for roles at the council from around 3 months into his placement, as he was really keen to stay with us. He really enjoyed working at the council, and in February 2025 he was successfully interviewed for a role within his wider service area, and he's since been working as an operational administration officer in a permanent full-time position, and I've heard some really good things from his team, which is really, really lovely. So hopefully you found that insightful and can see kind of why we're so proud of the programme. We're always happy to share our learning from the programme, and if you have any similar projects that you're kind of working on or programmes that you run at your kind of organisations, then you know, I'm always keen to collaborate and I'd love to hear from you. So as such, I have included my email address there if anybody wants to reach out, or you can find me on LinkedIn as well, Kimberly Ashmead. So yeah, before we conclude the session, I think there's now time for some questions. I haven't seen if there have been any put in the chat bar, so it'll be a surprise if there are. And I'll try and answer what I can, but obviously if there's anything I can't answer here, I'll let you know, and then I'll pass on the information to the lovely PPMA team, and they can follow up with you afterwards.
Brilliant, thank you, Kimberly. Yeah, sounds fantastic work. And there was a hell of a lot covered. I think you covered everything. I had a few questions in mind, but I think you covered all of them in your slides. And looks like you're making a real positive impact in such short time. We do have a question from Laura. She's asked, she said, I like the case studies. Do you encourage those who've been through the programme to tell their own story about their experience via blogs, newsletters, or at events and meetings across the council where they might not have had anyone from the programme in their team?
Absolutely. So our comms team do share the stories. We've had, I think, 3 of them have written blogs for our internal staff channels, which was really lovely. And it's quite a nice opportunity as well for them to practice putting themselves out there and maybe in areas that are slightly out of their comfort zone, but with support. We also run sessions on kind of using LinkedIn. So a lot of them we encourage to create LinkedIn accounts if they haven't already. We encourage them to take pictures at events and post it on LinkedIn to really share their stories there. I think a couple of them have even been invited to speak on kind of bigger platforms. So I don't think our all staff briefing they've been on, but they have in kind of their own directorates. They've been invited to speak and talk a little bit about the programme. And when we're promoting the programme to new managers, we do also try and get them involved as well to just talk about their experience and what it's meant to them to be on the programme.
Brilliant. Thumbs up for that. Lots of clapping of hands.
Thank you.
Fantastic programme, amazing work. If anyone has any further questions, you can pop them in the chat, or please feel free to raise your hand.
As I said, if people can't think of things now, definitely do make a note of my email address or whatever and just reach out to me directly. Very happy to have a chat. Yeah,
or I can pass them on to Kimberly if you send them to myself. Another question from Yvonne. Have there been any noticeable challenges for some of the groups you support when compared to others? Can't remember them all. Please show the slide.
So I'll see if I can go back to the slide. If I've come out of my little note section now, it's not going to let me go back in, I'm afraid. So we'll look back at the slide before. But yeah. So yes, I probably would say that there are some groups that have more challenges than others. I would probably say individuals who potentially have either learning disabilities or kind of neurodiversity probably struggle the most, and this is only because they usually, not always, but they usually need more significant adjustments in the workplace, and it can be quite a daunting environment for them. So we do have to be a little bit careful about which roles we place them in to make sure that they're really well supported and that they're going to have a manager who is really understanding, and that they can kind of chunk the tasks down, and where possible we try and job carve a little bit for them, but it's not always possible to do that. But that's probably where I would notice more of the challenges are in terms of day to day. However, I think they probably struggle a bit more, that group of people, when they first come into the workplace, but we tend to see the most distinct progress with that group, I would say. So by the end of the placements, I guess it's that bigger success story, because actually they've really come out of their shell, have a better understanding of what they need help with themselves as well. So even if they aren't securing jobs, they just feel a lot more confident in being in the workplace, and knowing what they need for support. And then there are also groups as well that we tend to see more success with. So funnily enough, actually, we see a lot of success with our Ukrainian candidates. I don't know whether it's just because of a culture thing, and being really hardworking and wanting to succeed and stuff. Not that not everybody else does as well, but I think they also tend to receive a bit of support as well from our Homes to Ukraine support teams as well, which is possibly something to do with it. But yeah, what we're doing is, as the programme goes on, as I said, we've only been running for just over a year. We're trying to learn from that and then adapt as we go to make sure that everybody's getting kind of that equal playing field with the programme.
Also saying, so those individuals that are struggling more, are managers provided with training to support these individuals?
Yeah, so we do try and run, I think I mentioned, so one of the sessions that we ran kind of came off the back of the fact that we identified that was one area that was more challenging for managers to support. However, with our referring partners, another benefit of working with them and having them refer candidates is they already know the kind of support that their customers need. So we do stay in touch with referring partners throughout the programme, and if we feel that we need a bit of intervention from them, we kind of get them in to support, and that can include providing training with managers on kind of more of a one-to-one basis or as a small group rather than as a whole cohort. So yeah, we do try and provide additional training for managers in that sense as well, and yeah, partners are very engaged with providing that.
Don't know, there's no more questions at present. So I mean, yeah, it just sounds like you've made such a massive impact, leaps and bounds in such a short time. So it'll be fascinating to see how far it can go. It's definitely maybe we'll catch up with you next year maybe and see how it's all going.
Yeah, hopefully we'll still be running. As I said, we're still waiting on to find out about the funding, but I think we're fairly confident we should get something, so we're hoping to keep the programme running.
Yeah, keep all our fingers crossed for you. So yeah, if there's no more questions, thank you very much for your time today, Kimberly, and for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
I've let everyone know that we'll be sharing the recording and the slides will be shared with our PPO members next week. And it should be up on YouTube, our YouTube channel later today. But thank you very much.
Thanks again for having me.
Thank you.